Hi, and welcome to the Switch Show. Um, Today we're going to be talking about an important topic, yourself. Yes, before we dive into the conversation, be sure to follow us. Do the usual, follow us, leave us a 5-star review, share with your friends and family. Give this to someone that you think could be helpful to, or someone that will find this helpful, and would really appreciate that. So we'll be talking about investing in yourself, and the topic is capital. So for any of you who took something related to business in probably your first year of college or in secondary school, in Nigeria, we here in Nigeria, we take courses, business studies, the ones that I remember when we took business studies in like GS1, GS2, like GS3. Then when you go into senior secondary school, you have to have your specialization. Before, it used to be like SS1, you had your SS1 first term, you had a general, you did all the courses. Then after the first term, you got to decide, okay, I want to be in the sciences, the arts, or the commercial. Anyway, what I'm trying to drive at is, if you did something business related in secondary school or in school, or probably did economics, you understand what the word capital means in that sphere. Capital to the average man is probably the would I put it as the executive area where legal activities are carried out in the states or in a country at large, which it's seen as the legal center for state affairs. I don't know if that's how they define capital, but for the sake of investment purposes, like investment in quotes, we're defining capital as net worth. We've heard what net worth is, and I've come to understand that net worth is not how much you actually have in your account, but net worth is your revenue minus your expenditure. That's your expenditure is subtracted from your revenue. That gives you your net worth. Okay, and that gives us a whole perspective for people that maybe you see someone's net worth of billions and you're like, they have so much money. Yeah, that's still a lot of money, but then it's not really all they have in their accounts. It's just, when you've done the mathematics of their accounts and everything, you get to understand what net worth is. Then capital can also be a store of useful assets or advantages. So that gives us an idea as to what capital is. When they say useful assets, they say useful. So does it mean that some assets are useless? If an asset is useless, that makes it a liability then. I don't know if you get my point. Yeah, so it's a store of useful assets or advantages. It means something you can readily use. And here we are not going to talk about just money. Investing in yourself, you also have to invest financially, but knowledge is the best investment that you can give to yourself. Okay, so to invest means to provide or endow someone with something. To endow someone or something with a particular quality or attribute. So when you apply jam and peanut butter to your bread, it means you've invested in your bread. That's quite a funny analogy. I don't know if you caught it. Maybe I'm an old man that gives funny analogies, or maybe it's a dad joke. I don't know what qualifies as a dad joke anyway, but I think you catch my drift. Similarly with butter, if you're not a peanut butter aficionado, if you're not a peanut butter person, maybe you're allergic to peanuts, and maybe it's butter, that's your, whatever the case is, I'm sure you catch my drift. So what it means to endow, something like education, going to school, is an investment. Okay, so that gives you a whole new perspective as to why education is important. Education is an investment in yourself, and education is not circumscribed to the four walls of a school. Education is everywhere. And we live in a time, we live in a society, we live in a culture, we live in a day and age, we live in an aeon where education is at the tip of your fingers. You can get educated on TikTok, and you can also get misinformed on TikTok. So I'm not going to talk about, hey, that reminds me, I'm going to give a little hint here and now. We're going to be talking about we've not really delved into a lot of cultural matters and what we have now, but yeah, we'll talk about more society and culture in this third year. So in case you missed it, the switch show is 3. So yeah, and this third year we're going to really delve into that, so that you guys will understand how we stand. And there's one important thing to note. I'm just digressing a little bit. There's one important thing to note about me, is that I'm a Christian. So every perspective I give is from my own perspective as a Christian, and I'm going to do it as objectively as I can and as objectively as possible. Okay? Yeah. So let's get back into the discussion. So yeah, an investment. What is an investment? An investment can refer to any mechanism used for generating future income. Okay? So note the word future. If you're the type that listens to podcasts with a notebook, I don't know why I put a TH sound there, sound. I'm sorry. But if you're the type that listens to a podcast with a notebook, which I do sometimes, it's critical to mark the word future and mechanism, which means that investments are like a vehicle. It's like in Nigeria, if you're conversant with the road networks, it's like going from Lagos to Delta State. So investment is that vehicle, and the future income in quotes is Delta State, because there's an arrival. And to tell you that between Lagos and Delta, there's distance and there is time. There is distance and there is time. Okay? So yeah, when it comes to investing in yourselves, you are your only limitation. Similar to the transportation analogy I gave, when it comes to personal investments, you are the one that can tell the driver to stop and he would stop. Okay? In personal investment, there are some things to consider. There is how to invest, where to invest, when to invest, the evaluation of returns, and reality. When it comes to how to invest, you must define your tolerance for risk, your investment goals, measure your approach, and diversify and reduce risk. All these are just like financial lingo. You know how much you are willing to bear, know what your goals are, then your approach. How do you want to get to that? I talked about something. I said the greatest investment you can do for yourself, aside investing in yourself financially, is to gain knowledge. So if you want to be a chess grandmaster, for example, okay, let me just give you guys some of the things that interest me, in case if you were wondering, how does this guy, what interests him, how does he keep going? If you didn't wonder, that's totally fine. But in case if you were wondering, I consume a lot of YouTube content. So I recently found, that was around June, I recently found this YouTube channel, Michelle Carre. Her Carre is spelled Khare. Maybe sometime in the future we could get her on the podcast. But I found Michelle Carre, and she does these challenges where she challenges herself to do certain things. She has challenged herself to go into the SWAT Academy, to deal with first response call, as a 911 dispatch. She has done a lot of things, and one of the videos I watched recently, is not a recent video, but I watched it recently, was when she was challenging herself to be a chess grandmaster, and she put in so much work. She had to learn the different openings in chess, how to play and how to defend. The white pieces is the person with the white piece is usually the one that moves first, and the person with the black piece is on the defense. So when you are opening, I think they said there's the London opening. That's the only one that stuck to my head. I don't really play chess, but chess is something that also interests me or excites me. So then I think there is the Sicilian, which is like a defense strategy. All in all, what I'm trying to say is that she put in a lot of effort to make sure that she could compete with one of the best people in the streaming community, because there are people that stream chess online, professionally. She could compete with the very best. So someone like that understands the goals, understands her tolerance for risk, how much she's willing to endure, because there will be mental strain. There'll be a lot of mental demand. There'll be a lot of emotional demands, when it comes to wanting to put yourself in a position that you are not naturally in. I don't know if you understand. Yes, then you also have to measure your approach. And when it comes to diversifying to reduce risk, which way works best? That is why there is now a rave of the saying, which is work smart and not work hard. In reality, you work both hard and smart. If you work smart, chances are that you not really work hard, but you still need to work hard. But if you work hard without working smart, it's like an effort in futility. So both of them go hand in hand. I'm an advocate for saying work smart and not work hard. But I've come to realize that you also there is a place for hard work, and hard work doesn't mean that it is always grueling or it makes you so exhausted or something. Hard work to me means determination. So many times determination can be grueling, but they always paint hard work to be like the villain or be like the bad guy. But hard work is not always bad. It means there is a measure of determination. There's a standard you set. That is what hard work is. Smart work is finding the best possible ways to meet up that standard. That is where diversification comes in. Finding the best possible ways, finding the best strategies, not just running towards a goal. It's just like you're a footballer and you pick up the ball in your own 18-yard box and you start sprinting. Best believe that you can't sprint in a straight line and get to the other goalpost and score without having defenders. So your working hard is your sprinting, your sprint speed. You're looking at your sprint speed, you're looking at your stamina, you're looking at your footing, you're looking at the placement of the ball. Then working smart are your dribbles. Okay, do I need to reduce my speed here, then accelerate towards the final third of the pitch? Do I need to do a step over? Do I need to do a rainbow flick? Do I need to, do a heel flick? Do I need to do some fancy move, or do I just need to, have my stance here? That is what smart. So they work together. I don't know if you get this analogy. You would only understand if you understand football, as Americans call it soccer. I don't know why they call it soccer. It's not soccer. It's football, because we actually kick with our feet. And the thing they call football, you only kick maybe like once or twice, and the rest is with your hands. So it makes absolutely no sense. But yeah, I'm not attacking Americans anyway. Soccer is soccer. Football is football. But I'm more British inclined, so it's football. Yeah, so that's what it means. That's what it means when we talk about how to invest. Then where to invest? It's in yourself, of course. The location of your investment is as key as the time and resources channeled into it. So if you are investing in the wrong place, even investing in yourself, if you're investing in a place where it is not meant to be, as a Christian, we understand that there are places where God would have us be, and there are things God would have us do that are already in His will for our lives, and His will for our lives is perfect. So if we stray out of it, it can look good, but that is not where we would find ultimate fulfillment and achievement of our God-given purpose. Okay, I hope you understand that. If you understand that, say I do. I know you. If you said I do, thank you, but then this is not interactive anyway. Try to make it more interactive, so it feels like you're talking to your friend. Do you get that? Do you get it? You're talking to your friend and he's like, guy, sure, you understand? You understand me? If you understand me, say yes, I do. If you understand, say yes, whatever it is. But if you understand, just nod or wave. But if you're in public, don't wave, so people don't look at you weird. Okay, so the next one is when to invest. Is there such a thing as a bad time to invest? Technically, no. According to financial experts, there is never a bad time to invest, and there's also never a good time. I don't know if you understand that. So what that means in essence is that if you are waiting for the perfect time might never come. Also, if this is a beautiful segue to say that if you have not listened to There's No Perfectionist, it's an episode I have on here. You can scroll down after you're done with this. You can listen to There Is No Perfectionist. It's an episode I enjoyed working on. It's something I would definitely expound on, as I grow and learn more in life. So yeah. So you should understand that, knowing that it's more about the long term and not about the now should heighten the desire to start now rather than putting it off. So investing in yourself, you want to be somewhere in 10 years time, you need to start now. And I'm telling you this because, this is something I started my podcast. Me wanting to say I want to be a public speaker, I want to be able to reach out to people. If I put it off for a while, the support and the encouragement and the criticism and the growth and learning curve that I have experienced in 3 years as a podcaster, I would have not experienced it. I would have still been wallowing in a lot of things due to ignorance. I would have not learned, I would have not sharpened my intonation, even though my intonation is kind of wonky and there are a lot of things, but I've really learned in this, this process, this stage of my life. So it makes sense to start now rather than putting it off. I hope we got that. All right. I'm rooting for you, really. I'm rooting for you. You're doing so well, and there's a beautiful thing about God. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not a Christian, okay. But the thing is, you need to understand that where I'm at, as much as it is a product of, personal investment, learning from school, from family, from friends, reading articles and books, consuming a lot of content online and offline, as much as it is a product of that, it is also a function of how well I have built my relationship with Jesus. And I know something, and I know for sure, and I know for certain that a relationship with Jesus is not easy, but it is peaceful. Because we can't offer you, Christianity cannot offer you ease. Christianity can only offer you peace. So an investment in yourself there's also the spiritual investment, knowing when there's never a bad time to invest spiritually in yourself. So you understand why there's such a thing as there's never a bad time, or there's never a perfectly good time. You have to start now. If you want to grow your relationship with Jesus, you need to start now. If you've not accepted him, you need to accept him as your Lord and personal Savior. And this is to tell you that anybody that has told you that it's easy, or someone is portraying it as easy, is wrong. Anybody that's portraying it as hard, that it's so grueling, that it's unbearable, is also wrong. Because it is not easy, it is not hard, but it is peaceful. Okay? Because we live in a world that there are crazy people. Everybody can't be good, everybody can't be upright. But you know that in all of those things, even in the cares and the trials, there is peace. I just had to put that out. So yeah, the evaluation of returns is the fourth one, and it has to do with every investment has at least an inch of growth. And I use an inch because there needs to be some form of growth. If there is no growth, if there's stagnation, then it is not worth continuing. The returns are on the grounds of how long the investment stays. So if you want to invest in, when it comes to finance, when you want to get a certain amount of money in 5 years, and there is an investment platform, and you know that in 5 years, this is what I'm expecting, you have to leave it for 5 years in order to get that said amount. Okay? But if you want to get it in 6 months, in 12 months, in 15, 18 months, in 2 years, you know how to tailor it, so that you get the accurate returns. No matter how little the investment is, it should see some measure of growth. If there's no growth at all, you need to reorganize and repurpose your strategies. And you need to check, if I'm not doing this right, how am I supposed to do it? And if it's not good at all, then you need to pull out and tweak your strategies into put and repurpose your time and resources. I see the location is also as important as your time and resources. Put your time and resources into something that would bring and spring growth. Okay. Yeah. And there's also the point of patience, because a lot of people might hear this now and be like, and be expecting to see growth in like 6 months or a year. Some things take time, like the bamboo. I talked about A Farmer's Tale. You can also listen to that. This is so beautiful. You can also listen to that. The bamboo takes time underground, but then in like 6 to 9 months, it shoots 90 feet into the air. But it took time, like 3 years underground. So some things take time, and what you do in the waiting is as important as how you wait. I don't know if you understand. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, and then reality. I said life would always hit at some point. It is important to know that you won't feel like $1,000,000 all the time. And that's the truth about life. Like I said earlier when I was talking about, how it is to be a Christian, it is not a bed of roses. It is not always comfortable. Okay? It's not something that you wake up and you feel like doing. Sometimes you don't feel like doing anything. And that's the thing about feelings. Feelings are volatile. And as humans, we are meant to have feelings. So feelings are volatile. It's perfectly normal to not feel a certain way. But it doesn't change the fact that being a Christian is peaceful. Even when you don't feel like anything, Jesus offers peace. He says, "My peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you, not as the world gives." Meaning that even in this world, there is temporary peace, but there's a peace that is eternal, and eternal peace is found in Jesus. Okay? He loves you so much, and that is a beautiful thing. I have said that on the Switch Show, I'm like your brother, like your friend that you've never met, or that you've never met physically. The ones, it's always easy to share your problems with people you've never met. I don't know if any of you have experienced that. People that you hardly know, it's often easier because they don't really know how to judge you. But yeah, I'm like that person. I'm like that, So yeah, if you want to share something with me, and you feel like this is something that you'd want me to address, our DMs are open at theswitch.show on Instagram. You can easily shoot us a message, say, "Yo, I'd like for you guys to talk about this," and I'll keep if you want me to mention your name, just for you to feel good, fine, I would do that. But if you want anonymity, beautiful. But I'm not guaranteeing that I would pick up everybody's points of view, because I'm majorly a Christian, and yes, there are different opinions, but not every opinion is something that I will roll with. Okay? Not everything I would want to say. Okay? So I just want us to understand that. So yeah, it is important to know that I'm like your companion. I'm like a companion on this. I'm also growing. I just have to put that out. I'm growing. Growth is a steady thing. It's something we experience all through our lives. I know people look at it as, there is a decline. I believe there is a growth. Sometimes there's a plateau. There's a place where you feel unproductive, and there's a place where you feel like less. Feelings are normal. But the beautiful thing about what I've come to understand about growth in God, in Christ, is that it is more of a straight line, more like I don't want to call it stagnancy, but it's more like it feels like you are super saturated, and then you hit a break point where it's like, oh, there's still a lot of things that I actually do not know, and then there's another incline, there's another upward growth, there's another trend, you're trending upwards. Okay, so yeah, I love you all so much, and I thank you all for all your support, and I thank you for sticking with us. So yeah, investment in yourself is very critical. You've said that you have a leading, that God is calling you to whatever position it is. God is calling you to be a pastor. You also have to invest. If you say you want to be a pastor, because you guys are here and I say, oh, seems like this guy is talking only for people, as they call them, apostles in the marketplace. If you want to be a pastor, you have to invest in yourself. You have to speak right, sharpen your diction, study the Bible so that you can properly exegete the Bible. Properly. Do you have proper exegesis? You can't go there and say things that you don't know and try to cover up your mistakes with trying to sound deep, but many times you sound unintelligent. So there is a place for investing in yourself. Invest in sound and right knowledge. Okay, I love you all. You guys are built for more. And yeah, remember, follow us, give us a 5-star rating, share with your friends on all of your socials. Get your mom and dad to listen to it. It might even spark something in them. Who knows? I love you. I'll see you on the next episode. Flip that switch and illuminate. Stay blessed. Have a lovely day or night. I love you.